Alright, so.
Testing? Are we testing?
Well, we've already tested.
Oh, we've tested. Okay, cheers. Go.
Cheers. So, what date is it?
Today is the 12th of the 12th, 21, and it's 10:27 p.m. Well, it would be p.m. It wouldn't. Yes.
Who are you?
Oh, who am I? My name is Len Montgomery, Leonard Francis Montgomery, born in 1952. I'm 27 days short of my 70th birthday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I own most of my own teeth. My hair still grows. I'm minus one knee and one replacement knee.
So you recently got your knee done, yeah?
Yeah, I got my knee done on the 7th of October, and it was fabulous, I don't think.
And you're not fully recovered, but you're getting there.
Not fully recovered, but getting there. Mostly by the help of alcohol and lubricant.
And you're married, yeah? Who are you married to?
Well, I was married, yeah. I'm married still am married to my present wife, 42 years. If I'd murdered her, I would have been out by now.
42 years married?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you've got 3 kids? And
I've got three wonderful children and 4 wonderful grandchildren.
Yeah.
The latest one arrived for the first time today. I've seen her. She's an absolute stunner. Her name is Louisa Loretto. She's a stunner.
Very nice.
And mind you, the other 3 aren't bad either.
Well, we're gonna do 10 of these episodes, and the first one's an introduction.
Yes.
And then all the ones afterwards will be about topics. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just casual interviews with a glass of wine, and then you'll go down in the chronicles. So
Of Nadia?
Yeah. So feel free to use all your usual jokes and stuff that you say all the time, because then they'll be on record. So you're from
I was
Belfast,
born.
right?
I was
Tell us
born.
about Belfast, just briefly now.
I was born in Belfast, a place called 51 Norfolk Drive. I have 3 brothers, Paul, Gerard, and Paddy, and a sister, Loretto, who's deceased, sadly. She married an American and lived in America for 25 years to a man called Brian Marsh, and we leave the Brian Marsh there. I was born in 51 Norfolk Drive, Belfast.
Where's that?
It was in the top of the Falls Road, and it was a drive that led up to the Falls Park. My best friend was a boy called John O'Reilly. Sadly died a few years ago. He and I travelled the world in the Falls Park. The river was the Amazon. The hills were the mountains, and the grass was the playing fields. There was a huge, big swimming pool in the Falls Park in Belfast. Can you believe it? In the 50s and 60s, it was freezing cold in the winter, but it was called the Cooler.
The Cooler.
The Cooler.
Was it dangerous?
Getting over the bars and without paying was the most dangerous part.
But was it dangerous to hang around the falls in the 50s?
Well, in the 50s and 60s, the troubles hadn't started really. Belfast wasn't a very nice place in the 50s and 60s. No, well, I suppose.
Where was?
They were recovering still greatly from the Second World War, because things hadn't really reached Belfast in those days, but discrimination against Catholics was rife. It was dreadful.
So you felt like a minority there.
I know. I was educated by the Christian Brothers, which I suppose I started when I was about 5. I left when I was just 16, and I learnt more from 16 on than I did from the 5 to the 16. It was a horrible experience. Now,
Right,
in the street where I lived, next door neighbours were the McDonoughs, and there was an old woman across the road called Mrs. Campbell.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story about Mrs. Campbell's pension sometime.
Yeah, we'll jump back to your childhood again, right? That'll be one of the topics.
Okay.
What about your professional life? What did you do?
I
You ever work, did you?
I never worked in my life because I enjoyed every day of work, and they say if you enjoy your job, you'll never work a day in your life. I spent 3 years. I spent almost a year in London working in a hotel, and then I came back and I worked in the Ulster Hospital in Dundonald as a trainee chef. I did all the exams, and then I went to Craigavon Area Hospital, and then I went to Maynooth College. 3 best years of my life. And then I went to a place called Portrane for 6 months and left 41 and a half years later.
And were you a chef at the start? Or
I was a chef at the start in a hospital.
And then you jumped to catering manager.
And then I went to catering. I was instructor chef in Maynooth College. It was a school attached to the college.
What were you teaching them? Basic sauces?
I taught the first years cookery theory and cookery management. Basic cookery. They worked in the kitchens with me.
Yeah.
But that was the best hotel in Ireland, the finest of food.
Really, yeah.
Very brilliantly well paid.
Yeah.
I went for the interview and I didn't tell my mother and father, and I came back and the fella rang and said to me, I came into the house one day and my mother said, there's a phone call from a priest in Maynooth College. He wants you to call him back. She said to me, are you going to be a priest? I said, I am in me shite, going to be a priest. Some priest I'd make. And he rang me and he said, Lane, now we're prepared to offer you this job. This is John O'Connor. He was a northerner, very nice fella, priest, the bursar in the college. And I said, yeah, I'll take the job. He said, when can you start? I said, how about tomorrow? I said, well, no, you don't have to come that quick. You can come. Can you be here next Friday? Yes, no problem. I'll be down. I said, where will I live? Oh, well, we'll supply you free accommodation, free food, free meals. We'll even do your laundry. Oh, I said, that's all right. I'll take that. Okay, I'll be down. He said, do you want to know how much you're getting paid? I said, yeah, okay. So he told me, I can't tell you the exact figure, but he said, whatever he said, I said, is that a week or a month? He said, that's a week. And I said, what? Yes, I'm on the way. So I went, and that was the start of the time in Maynooth College.
And what travelling have you done in your life?
The furthest I've ever travelled to was South Africa. In when I did fundraising for the MS, I did the Spanish Camino 3 times. I did.
How many times do you estimate you've been to America?
Oh God! I must have been to America 10 times. Once with you, where you broke the phone on the aeroplane, and I went.
Only 10 though. Might be more than that.
Might be more. Yeah,
15.
Maybe 10. They were all great adventures. They were great.
Any country you've ever been in that you hated?
No.
What's your favourite country you've ever been to?
Oh, South Africa.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, South Africa. Loved South Africa.
What did you like about it?
Oh, just the whole the whole experience of it, the vastness of it, the whole structure of it, the roads. Now there's a downside to it when you pass the townships and places like that. But no, I loved Cape Town, and I loved going up in the cable car and coming down the cable car and Tabletop Mountain and the restaurants and the food.
And you went there with a group, right?
I went there with a group from MS. There was about 45 of us, I think. Wow. And I travelled.
Same plane?
Yeah, and I travelled most of the travels on my MS with a fella called Pat Bissett. He was a great character. Unfortunately, I lost touch with him. He called himself the Love Machine.
What sports did you play?
Oh no, not a great sportsman. Played a bit of hurley, and I was a great cyclist. I was a Northern Ireland schoolboy champion one time.
What kind of cycling? BMX?
No, ordinary bicycles. I had a rally and a Claude Butler, and I cycled with the NCC, the Northern Cycling Club.
So road racing.
Road racing, time trials.
In time trials?
In time trials, yeah. And road racing. And every Sunday we went off on what we called a Sunday trip. And I cycled twice from Belfast to Skerries.
Did you? Was that 150 miles?
No, 100 miles exactly.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Stayed a couple of nights and cycled back. And there was no M1s or motorways in those days. It was all back roads.
Wow.
Usually stopped in Banbridge Banbridge see, I don't have to put the accent on, it's just there. Stopped in the Central Cafe and had double egg and chips and tea, bread and butter, and then cycled on the rest.
No Rennie needed back then.
No.
And what about rally cars? Did you race?
I owned several very good cars, and John O'Reilly and I rallied twice, but I think we got about the second day and the cars broke down.
No crashes?
Oh, I should be crashed everything.
What about your marathons?
Many marathons did I do?
5?
5 marathons, I
One
think.
in London, 4 in
London, Belfast, Dublin. 2 in Dublin, 1 in Belfast,
2 in London.
2 in London. Did one of the marathons with Michael Brannigan.
Did you?
Yeah.
No way.
And Mick Woodlock and his brother.
No way.
Yeah.
What kind of times were you getting?
Best time I ever did was about 3:45.
Jesus, that's fast.
That was the best.
That's a 4-minute kilometre.
That was the best one ever. Other than that,
Where was that? Dublin?
Yeah, that was the first Dublin one. Yeah, that was the Sunday World one, where I got a Sunday World shirt and got in the paper. You got nominated by the Sunday World.
Would you recommend this to a young jogging enthusiast now to do a marathon?
Do one.
Do one and stop.
Just don't do any more, because you'd end up like me, needing new knees.
What about music?
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
Every type of music. Love all music.
What was your first?
I
big
never
rock-
liked rap or
No, me neither.
that sort of thing.
What was your first big kind of international artist you liked in Belgium?
I would say
Not Van Morrison, right?
no. Van Morrison didn't exist when I was a young fella. Think people like Jim Reeves and the Beatles,
Yeah.
Rolling Stones. Who else? Well, I loved all the American country and western, Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, all those guys. But they were of that era. They were of the era when I was growing up. But you have to remember there was no radios. There was nothing. Transistor radio.
Yeah.
And you listened to it under the sheets in the bed at night, because it came from a thing called Radio Caroline, which was a legal boat sat out in the North Sea. And you were told that if the people were coming around in trucks listening for people listening to radios in their bed, it didn't exist. There was no, but you had a little tiny radio about the size of a cigarette packet, and you tuned it in. You only got about 3 or 4 stations, but you were very limited to what music you could buy.
If there was one artist that you have been your favourite for the longest in your life, who would it be? Johnny Cash?
Christy Moore.
Christy Moore, yeah. Sweaty shirt. What about your collections? Do you have a hobby of collecting things?
Well,
what have you collected in your life?
I collected pins and debts.
What's a pin?
The pins, the little pins you get when you travel. You've bought me pins.
No, I know, but tell the people.
They're from they're little
Like
pins you buy in
badges,
shop,
brooches, yeah.
commemoration ones. The one I have that I cherish the most is one that came, not necessarily cherished, but I was in South Africa in Cape Town. I know I wasn't there, but I got it the day that Nelson Mandela was released from Robben Island. Wow. And a friend of mine who was living in South Africa called John McCourt, I went to school with him, or Aidan McCourt, and he got it for me and sent it to me. And a while later, a few years later, I'd kept in touch with him, and I knocked the front door of his house in Cape Town.
Wow.
And this girl came out and said to me, "Hello, how are you?" And I said, "Is Aidan in?" She says, "No, Aidan's in Belfast at a wedding."
Oh, God.
So, so she said, "Who are you?" I said, "Len Montgomery." "Jesus, were you known as Monty?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yes." And she said, "Come in and we'll phone him." So she phoned. I phoned and he answered the phone, and I said, "Hey, Aidzo," and he said, "Is that Monty? Where are you?" I said, "I'm in your house in Cape Town."
How unlucky.
What
about your collections nowadays? You've moved on to better things like watches and stuff.
Well, I have a few watches, but the thing about watches now is watches are nearly old hack now. People don't really want watches. I have a couple of I have 2 tags. I bought one when I was 60, and Louise bought me the other one 3 years ago. It's the Ayrton Senna. There's
how much does the tag cost?
First tag was €1,000. That was 60 when I was 60. The second one, I think it was about 3,000, but don't tell her.
Right, last question. What are you looking forward to in the next few weeks?
Well,
Before you got 27 days left to your 70th birthday, what are you looking forward to doing before you officially reached old age?
staying alive.
What's happening in the next few weeks then?
Well, everybody's here for Christmas, which is going to be great, and we have two other people in our lives now. One's called Vida and one's called Ronnie. They haven't met, and I think it might be a clash of the titans.
It could be.
So we have to keep them separated. Megan will be home with Fred and Maggie, and hopefully it'll be a better Christmas for Megan this year than it was last year.
Good. And Connor's coming over as well.
And Connor and Helen and the lovely Gretchen will be here as well.
Good stuff.
Gretchen.
Right, so we'll meet again and we'll talk about different topics in closer detail. But the next time we'll talk about Belfast, I think.
Yes, I'll tell you about Belfast in the early days.
Stuff. Enjoy. See you
okay,
later.
right.
Thanks.
Over now. Click.
Bye.